Hey everyone, I hope you are all doing well. Wanted to come on and touch base. I realize it's been a little bit since I've done a video, and I know we have a couple of things coming up that I wanted to just make sure that we are all on the same page on. So, excuse me, a couple of things that I just want to go through with our Blackboard. So, under announcements, if you click there, I've posted a couple of things recently. So first off, I just last week sent you a couple of current events. Sometimes I'll let this pile up in my inbox and then I just want to get them all out to you. But I was thinking that some of these might actually be some interesting ideas for final paper topics. So if you're still trying to figure out what you want to write about, maybe this is a source of inspiration. And even if you already have your topic, I kind of think these stories are just interesting anyway. So I encourage you, sorry, to check them out. In addition to posting about the current events, I also posted about your midterm. So the midterm guidelines are up there. Hopefully you find them to be straightforward. If you have any questions though, please do send me an email and we will work that out. Now, just to make sure it is on everyone's radar, your midterm papers are due by April 5th, by the end of the day, 11:59 p.m. For that week, I took away the discussion post that was originally there, and also you do not have a quiz. So the only thing that you will need to be getting to me that first week of April is your midterm. In regards to sort of what is coming down the pipe, so let's go over to content. And of course, my computer is always slow when I'm doing this with you all. So we're actually now technically in Unit 2. So if we go ahead and open up Unit 2, you'll see we've got this broken down. So last week, we got through the Scott reading and the Barker reading. I hope you found some of that to be relatively interesting. I, of course, did, but that. And right now we are currently here at week 9. So this week you are supposed to post about Skloot as we're chugging along in our Henrietta Lacks story. I posed a couple of questions on the discussion thread for that post. And then you also have a quiz on Conrad and Schneider, the professionalization, monopoly, and the structure of medical practice. So this is actually, I hope you find it to be a relatively straightforward reading, kind of just going over how medicine became the institution that it is. Now, of course, this is something that we could probably spend a whole semester unpacking and breaking down, but it's particularly important that we understand that medicine as we know it was not always necessarily that way, right? It always wasn't seen as the authority and as a profession or something that kind of has all of these gatekeepers and different, steps that one has to go through to be able to claim that they are part of the medical profession. That transpired over time. The other thing that's interesting in this piece is how it documents the way that medical issues change over time, specifically with focusing on the case of abortion. And they point out a couple of things that I think are really important. First off, that the way that we think about abortion in our current society wasn't necessarily how it was always thought of, but that it really started to change per the medical profession, not necessarily any sort of specific religious organization or religious leader. And the other thing that I also want to just draw your attention to when it comes to this particular case, they point this out, asking why did physicians take the lead on the anti-abortion crusade and work so directly to have abortion defined as deviant and illegal? And they come up with these two systemic or sociological answers. The first is the concern was growing among medical people and even among some legislators about the significant drop in birth rate. Many claim that abortion among married women of the, quote, better classes was a major contributor to the declining birth rate. These middle and upper class men, the physicians and the legislators, were aware of the waves of immigrants arriving with large families and were anxious about the decline in the production of Native American babies. Now, of course, they don't mean Native American. They mean Native or white Americans, but you know what I mean there. The other thing they point out is that the second and more direct reason spurring the physicians in the anti-abortion crusade was to aid their own nascent professionalization and create a monopoly for regular physicians. The regulars had formed the AMA in 1847 to promote scientific and ethical medicine and combat what they saw as medical quackery. There were, however, no licensing laws to speak of, and many claim that the title doctor, this could be homeopaths, botanical doctors, eclectic physicians. The regular physicians adopted the Hippocratic Oath and Code of Ethics as their standard, and among other things, this oath forbids abortion. Regulars usually did not perform abortion. However, many practitioners of medical sex perform abortion regularly, and some had lucrative practices. Thus, for the regular AMA physicians, the limitation of abortion became one way of asserting their own professional domination over other medical practitioners. So I highlight those two things for a reason. Often when we're talking about any issue, not even just this one in particular, there are many layers at play here, right? So I'm sure if we were to go around and ask most people why they think abortion is a big deal, or how does society decide abortion is a big deal, I think a lot of us would probably point to religious institutions. But really, there's a lot of layers going on here. And the other reason why this resonated with me is actually just in our current cultural climate, that panic about American births versus non-American births and whatever that means. So take a read. Your quiz is on this one. Let me know if you have any questions. The other big thing this week is that you should send me your final paper topics by this Friday. All right, this is really just a chance for me to be able to sort of vet and see where you're going with this and to give you feedback if I think that you need it. Remember, your paper topics should relate to something under the wide umbrella of the medicalization or sociology of medicalization or sociology of medicine. And that hopefully will allow you to pick a topic that you're actually interested in and want to spend time on. Okay, now just to give you a view of what's coming up. So this is what we have for this week, right? The Skloot post, the Conrad and Schneider reading, and then your final paper ideas. Next week, pretty straightforward, our normal discussion post and quiz. The week after, week 11, this is when you owe me your midterm paper. And then the week after that, week 12, you have the normal discussion post and reading, but I want you to send me at least 5 academic sources for your final paper as well. Now, I'm going to be posting some tutorials about how to use the library website, how to find academic sources, also how to identify what are academic sources. But actually, in the meantime, let's just do a really quick cursory review. I put together this list that is not popping up. Those are old syllabi, which you do not actually need to see. Here we go. So I put together this academic reference tutorial. This is actually just coming at you from my personal works cited in some of my papers. Now, an academic source is going to be one that has been peer-reviewed or is a published book, ideally from an academic press, but that doesn't always happen. So, for example, this first one here, Joan Acker, From Sex Roles to Gendered Institutions, that's in an academic journal in contemporary sociology. So I can be confident that it is an academic source. However, if we scroll down to even just this next one here, Lorraine Alley's piece, you notice that's from Newsweek. Newsweek is not an academic source, right? So any popular magazines, any newspapers, any blog posts, even something like a law review, that's not really an academic source. So like I said, I will be putting up more guidelines and tutorials from our library website to help you out. And on week 12, specifically on April 12th, I would like to get a list of 5 sources that you are going to be using in your paper. And I'll get those guides up sooner rather than later. And then one more note that I just want to touch base on I just realized how dark this is. I'm so sorry. Anywho, one note that I do want to just touch base on real quick. It's been brought to my attention that the course gets pretty heavy as we get towards the end of the semester. So I will be making some changes to the material that is due and also adding in a few extra credit opportunities. So be on the lookout for that. I'll post it in course announcements, and then I'll come on and also make a video for you. So I hope you have a great week. Send me questions via email if you have any, and I look forward to seeing your final paper topic ideas at the end of the week. Take care.